Welcome back to Vegas Realty Check. I'm your host, Trish Williams. Today's episode is important, one for homeowners, families, and anybody planning for the future. I'm sitting down today with Rick Cosgrove, president of Savon Estate Planning, to break down estate planning essentials, trust, powers of attorney, medical directives, and why having the right plan in place can save your family time, money, and stress. This is a conversation you don't want to miss. Stay tuned. Welcome to 2026, Rick.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. And what a great way to start the year and start talking about estate planning.
Yes. First and foremost, thanks for having me back.
Thank you. And introduce yourself, please,
yes, my name is Rick Cosgrove. I am the president of Savon Estate Planning. We do specialize in business and personal assets and putting them in a position to transfer after death. So yeah, we deal with death, unfortunately, and we do it at an affordable price, providing families with peace of mind.
Yes, and I am also a client of yours.
You are.
Yes,
you are, and a great referrer to me.
Yes, yeah, very much so. So I know that you do a great job because I've experienced it myself. Now, death is one of those things nobody wants to talk about.
That's right.
But when you are a homeowner, it is very essential that you do think to the future and what's going to happen with your estate, your home, once you're no longer around.
Right. And the home's the big one for me when it comes to a trust. And there's many different types of trust and variations of them. There's really two kinds, but there's different spins on them. But we want to make sure that house, right, transfers. Most other assets can have a beneficiary. A house in some cases can, depending on the state, but it still requires a mini probate, believe it or not. So we want to just make a simple, smooth transfer after death. And once I understand somebody owns a home, we have to have that conversation.
Right. And before we get into anything, just for people that don't know, I think that it's important that we address what Probate means basically the state will determine, I'm sure you have a more a thorough explanation of what probate is.
Yeah, so probate's really, it's a process for somebody who dies with a will or without a will to divide the estate. It opens up your estate to your creditors. It's designed to prevent fraud. And you're putting your hands in, or you're putting your assets in the hands of a judge, a court judge, and families can contest and they could get drawn out, and you need an attorney to help you facilitate that, and it gets quite pricey, and now you're giving up a good percentage of your estate to a law firm who helped you facilitate this, and it all can be avoided.
And people without families, I mean, there's people out there that don't have any families or anybody to pass things on to, that still might want to have a say in what's happening. And in that case, it would go to the state, correct?
Yeah, it could, absolutely, especially if taxes aren't paid and the old assessor wants to get a hold of it. But yeah, it can go to the state. So if you have nobody, then I get that. But you might have a friend. I just had a family who he had, a gentleman rather, he had nobody but his neighbors. They were taking care of him, and he left his house to his neighbors. He had no family.
Yeah, I've heard of people leaving homes to donating them to a charity.
Absolutely.
Donating the equity to a charity and having that. I've seen that in a trust before.
Absolutely.
So that is, definitely, I think people do want to have a say in their estate once they pass.
Absolutely, and through the trust is how you do that.
Yeah. How did you end up in estate planning?
Well, without going into the long, boring story that I talk in my seminars, my family was affected by probate in the early 90s.
Okay.
4 times.
Yeah.
Different family members. We were a family-owned business, and the 4th time was my fault. It was my fault. I didn't know anything, and I got some bad advice from a lender at a bank I was working at, and it cost my family a lot of money. Yeah. When it comes full circle, almost 30 years, it cost my family about $275,000.
That's a lot of money.
When you think about it, and without talking about how that happened, there are different things. But and we had a trust. This is my grandmother's estate. She had a trust, but we got taken out of it, and she passed away, and her house was sitting outside of her trust.
So it was a refinance or something?
Yeah, we went through a refinance, and at closing, the lender said to me, "Hey, Rick, we're going to go ahead and close outside of your grandmother's trust. We'll get it quick claim back in there after the loan funds." Well, I didn't know what that all meant.
Yeah.
I'm very green. I'm in
And
my early 20s.
No, most people don't know what that means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know it, and it sounded fine to me and what have you. And well, Grandma died a week after her loan funded, and she didn't even need the loan. She did it for me to hit a bank goal. So in any event, yeah, we're caught at her death with her house sitting outside of her trust, and nothing went the way her trust was designed. Nothing went that way because my grandmother does have 3 other children outside of my mother, and they all came forward, and everybody ended up with 0.25% versus how my grandmother had intended it. So her wishes were not honored. The courts got involved. It was a probate. And again, it was a learning lesson, and you know, it was kind of the turning point in my career in the banking industry that I spent 27 years in.
Yeah, and that is bringing up that note is so important. I tell this to people often. I see from the real estate side where somebody will contact me and say they have, you know, someone passed away, the home's in a trust, and I'll pull up the tax record and it was never recorded into the trust. So it's basically useless at that point. It does need to be recorded, and that also means if you do a refinance or you do anything that pulls that home out of the trust, it has to get put back in there because that whole purpose of putting it together is basically voided if it's not recorded into it.
That's correct. And last year, through my audits of other estate planners' work and clients that I may have came across, we're already got into 2026. 2024, I caught 65.
65.
65. Last year, 36 of families that refinance when the rates were really low. 2020 through 23 or whatever it was, rates were low. Everybody was refinancing. These lenders were turning and burning them. Their pipelines were full. They were just taking calls and originating and just busting them out. And these families weren't thinking that every loan doc package has a grant deed in there. That's the ownership to your property. Yeah. And they're just signing away, and they don't realize that their property is being changed. Yeah. Because once it's initially done, the funding is what we call that, funding the trust. It goes on a shelf, it goes in a safe, and it's kind of outside, out of mind, relief. I've taken care of everything. We're positioned properly, and then you just start navigating life. Then all of a sudden rates are at 2 3/4 or 300%, and you got to jump on that, right? And
then got to pull it out too.
And then it gets pulled out. And I'll be honest with you, these loans, in most cases, can be closed in the trust.
Yeah. And they don't do it. It's just it's a format that they do where they have to take it out. When we come back, we're going to be talking about if you need to be an attorney to do estate planning. Okay. So a very good question. So we'll stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
Hey Vegas! Celebrate every day in style at the Composer's Room. We bring you non-stop entertainment infused with the vibrant spirit of Las Vegas. Our tavern serves the best drinks in town. Whether you're a cocktail connoisseur or a beer buff, our bartenders got you covered. And let's not forget about the food. Our culinary delights are sure to tantalize your taste buds. Come for the entertainment and stay for the food. Reserve your visit to the Composer's Room today and start celebrating Las Vegas our way.
On the Strip, built on legends, the real magic totally happens right here. Step inside the Magician's Room, where world-class illusionists and mind-bending mentalists make the impossible happen, like inches from your seat. Fast, fun, unforgettable. This is Vegas magic, up close. The Magician's Room, at the Link Promenade in Las Vegas. Step inside and leave reality at the door.
Looking for a night out that's pure Vegas? Welcome to Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club, voted best comedy club in Las Vegas. Located at the Link Promenade, just steps from the High Roller, it's your ticket to big laughs from top comics handpicked by Jimmy Kimmel himself. No two shows are alike. Every night's a headliner, and every seat's a great one. Get your laughs at the best. Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. Only in Vegas. Only at the Link.
Every home has a story. What's yours? From your first home to your forever home. Trish Williams helps you write each chapter. Real estate is about the life you build. Hire Trish to be part of your story. Trish Williams, Keller Williams Realty. License S.01755530, call 702-308-2878. Start your next chapter today.
Welcome back, Vegas. So, Rick, I know that I myself, I've asked you this question before on a previous show. So I know that I always thought that in order to do any type of estate planning or anything like what Savon Estate Planning does, you have to be an attorney. Is that correct? And let's talk about that for a minute.
So, great question. And now is probably a great time for me to add my disclaimer. I am not an attorney, and I'm not here to give legal advice. But you don't have to be an attorney. And I'll be honest with you, that's a huge misconception. I thought you needed to.
Yes.
And when I wanted to go into this field, I went and got a business attorney.
Okay.
And I asked him point blank, this is what I want to do. Here's my experience in this. Can I do it? And he said, yes, you can, but you cannot give legal advice.
Okay.
I said, perfect. Will you create me a contract that's pretty ironclad? And I'm pretty vocal and forthcoming with the fact I'm not an attorney. And
Yeah.
I encourage families to consult an attorney, talk with me as well. Go with whoever you feel the most comfortable with. What I will say is you do want somebody qualified. You do want somebody who's going to help you and who's going to see it through, not just the document preparation. That's one aspect of it. There's more to it, and we talk about that funding. And that's where families get lost, is in that aspect. And a lot of times the attorneys don't like to get into the weeds when it comes to that. So we do. We don't have no problem. So I guess I am properly licensed to do what I do. But I guess I'm acting in the capacity of a consultant more than anything, if you will.
Yeah.
But I got more than 30 years behind me in working with this. And I focus more on, and we at Savon Estate Planning focus more on, what's a title and escrow company going to require after death if they need to sell the house on behalf of a decedent? What's a bank looking for? An investment firm, retirement companies, stuff like that, because that's who calls the shots. They're the companies that are going to determine whether things were positioned properly to transfer after death and everything looks good on their end, or they're going to require what's called letters of administration, and now we're in a probate position because they want court documents.
Right. And there's like businesses such as Nevada Legal Forms and all these places out there that have all these DIY documents that people can do. And the trouble, I guess, the difference is what those documents are supposed to say, and what's supposed to happen with them.
Right.
So you know what to look out for because of the experience.
Exactly.
So it's not that they don't allow all these things to be done without an attorney, because people do them without an attorney every day.
Exactly.
So it's just having somebody with the experience and knowledge behind it to know what is how it's properly done.
Absolutely. And to your point, just to kind of, I did I didn't do a family did a power of attorney, and he put the date of the origination and the termination date of the power of attorney the same day.
Oh.
Simple error, but he had a power of attorney in effect for 1 day for his mother, who when he went to use it, he couldn't use it because it was invalid because it expired. And then she was too far gone from a memory loss standpoint. He had to go get conservatorship over her. So, I don't encourage families doing it on their own.
Absolutely not. And I've seen on the real estate side a lot of disasters from people doing their own own estate planning.
Right, exactly.
So DIY estate planning is never a good idea.
Yeah, no.
So what estate planning docs would you actually need, and why?
Yeah, so to create a comprehensive estate plan, you need, the first thing is the trust, right? The family trust, and it comes with the trust certification, which is just a synopsis of the trust. Now, when would you need a trust? Well, if you own a home, like I stated earlier, I'm a big advocate. That's the superior way to go. Put your home in a trust. Another reason why you might need a trust if you don't own a home would be if you got a lot of restrictions and contingencies on how your assets will divide it. In other words, maybe your children don't get it at a certain stage. I just worked up an amendment for someone. His kids don't get anything until they're 40, and it's only 10% until they're 50. He wants them working. He doesn't want them living off of their wealth. So that's the only two reasons. Every other asset a beneficiary can cover. So that kind of covers the trust. You're going to want your financial power of attorney.
Yes.
And you want to get that done. That's going to cover everything from real estate to the banks to the IRS to insurance, annuities, estate litigation, everything under the umbrella of what could be considered financial. So we want to make sure that's done, and we want to do that when we're young. Anybody 18 or over should have that document, and the rest of these documents I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
18 and over, you should have those documents, because you never know when you're going to find yourself in an incapacitated state.
Okay.
Could be a bad accident. Could be
Yeah.
illness. Okay, so we want to protect against that.
And the power of attorney gives somebody else the authority to sign for you.
That's correct.
To do your business for
That's
you.
correct. We're appointing an agent who can act on our behalf when we can't act for ourselves.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that is very important.
absolutely, absolutely. And we want to start, if we haven't done those, we want to get those done, because what will typically happen is when we get into our 60s and 70s and we want to go do a financial transaction and we got to utilize the power of attorney on behalf of somebody, those professionals are known for, they put on their medical hat. They're not doctors, but they put on their medical hat, and they like to question cognitive ability when this document was entered. So there's ways to counter that, but we want to get those done earlier than later. We don't want to wait too late in the game.
Yeah.
Then we get into our medical directives. Same concept, your healthcare power of attorney, rather. Same concept. We're putting an agent in place to act on our behalf when we can't act for ourselves.
Okay.
As long as we're healthy, we make our own medical decisions.
Right.
When we can't, then we have somebody in place who can do those. We do a HIPAA release form. It's called a medical information disclosure authorization.
Okay.
If somebody needs to get access to the medical records, we don't want HIPAA getting in the way.
Yeah.
With all due respect to the medical professionals. We do a living will. This is your advanced medical directive. This here, we're at the end of the road. We've been declared dead, essentially. Machines are keeping us alive, and we want to, we don't want our family suffering. We want to be let go.
Make a choice of how you want that, how you want that situation addressed.
End of life, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we do, of course, what's called a pour-over will, which is very similar to a last will and testament. We really don't want this document coming into play because it does go through probate. But if we're caught at death with assets outside of our trust, the idea behind the pour-over will is it'll pour the assets back to the trust to allow the trust to govern the asset, and it can go the way of the trust. Again, a judge has to make that determination. In the pour-over will, we're naming the executors to the estate, guardian of person, and some other things as well. And then, of course, we do the deed work on the house.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
One thing that people ask a lot is the difference between trust and irrevocable trust. Just a revocable and irrevocable
Correct.
trust. And when we come back after this break, we're going to talk about that.
Hey Vegas! Celebrate every day in style at the Composer's Room. We bring you non-stop entertainment infused with the vibrant spirit of Las Vegas. Our tavern serves the best drinks in town. Whether you're a cocktail connoisseur or a beer buff, our bartenders got you covered. And let's not forget about the food. Our culinary delights are sure to tantalize your taste buds. Come for the entertainment and stay for the food. Reserve your visit to the Composer's Room today and start celebrating Las Vegas our way.
On the Strip, built on legends, the real magic totally happens right here. Step inside the Magician's Room, where world-class illusionists and mind-bending mentalists make the impossible happen, like inches from your seat. Fast, fun, unforgettable. This is Vegas magic, up close. The Magician's Room, at the Link Promenade in Las Vegas. Step inside and leave reality at the door.
Looking for a night out that's pure Vegas? Welcome to Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club, voted best comedy club in Las Vegas. Located at the Link Promenade, just steps from the High Roller, it's your ticket to big laughs from top comics handpicked by Jimmy Kimmel himself. No two shows are alike. Every night's a headliner, and every seat's a great one. Get your laughs at the best. Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club, only in Vegas, only at the Link.
Every home has a story. What's yours? From your first home to your forever home, Trish Williams helps you write each chapter. Real estate is about the life you build. Hire Trish to be part of your story. Trish Williams, Keller Williams Realty. License S.01755530, call 702-308-2878. Start your next chapter today.
Welcome back, Vegas. Welcome back, Rick. So I hear a lot the difference between revocable trust and an irrevocable trust. Can we talk about that for a second?
Absolutely, would love to. And that's it. There's two types of trust. It's either revocable or irrevocable. Now, they've gotten fancy with it, asset protection and stuff, and different types of trusts, if you will. But it's either going to be a revocable or irrevocable. Now, the difference is a revocable is still considered part of your personal estate, and you maintain control of your estate. Now, let's talk about what that means. There's 4 components I focus on a trust, and this is important to kind of give you the differentiation. The first is who's the grantors of the trust. Could be you, settlor, truster, all the same. It's creator of the trust, who are the grantors of the trust. Then the second component is who are your acting trustees. Okay? That's who controls the trust, who's authorized to act on behalf of the trust. Then you have your successor trustees. That's who's authorized to act on behalf of the decedents. So as these trustees become deceased, we have successor trustees in place. The most important part to it all, because that's how you avoid probate. And then, of course, you got your beneficiary and your division of assets and what that's going to look like. So in a revocable trust situation, you're trustees. You're in control. Your tax ID's used. You're in control.
And you can change it, edit it, do whatever you need to do.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Irrevocable trust, you're giving up control of your estate. Okay?
Yeah.
You are not the trustee. It's not considered part of your personal estate. We're going to get you an EIN number from the IRS for the trust. You're going to put separate trustees, and the asset's not yours. So let's take a house, for example. You decided to put a house into an irrevocable trust. Well, that house now is an asset of the trust, controlled by a separate trustee. It's no longer part of your personal estate.
Yeah. So if those trustees need to, like if you want to sell that house and the trustees, for instance, were your children need to sign those documents when you're selling.
Absolutely. And there's time and places for irrevocable trust. I'm not the biggest fan of them. Depends on what we're trying to accomplish, of course. If we're trying to avoid Medicaid, absolutely. If we're just moving and shaking and trying to avoid liabilities because of the things we're doing, I don't like to get in the weeds there. But absolutely. And just a quick story, a short one. I just dealt with a family last year about mid-year where the wife, or the mother, she was in escrow to sell her house and in escrow on the purchase of a new house. The old house was in the trust. It was an irrevocable trust with her daughter, who she's completely estranged from and won't talk to, as the trustees. And it specifically states in the trust the trustee has to sign for everything. Killed both escrows. Neither deal happened because the daughter refused to sign anything. So you got to be careful when you go into those and who you're choosing as your trustees and what you're truly trying to accomplish.
Because families do have issues that arise.
They do.
And we see it so often.
Yes.
How often should your estate plan be reviewed and updated?
So I'm a fan of annually. In my business, we reach out to our clients once a year to do what's called an asset review. And we never get into how much money somebody has, but what they have is important. And I'm always going to ask the questions because, like I said, once you do your initial funding, you think everything's done, but then you just go around and start moving stuff. You might close a bank account here and move it to there. And maybe you're not thinking about your trust.
Yeah.
And these are things I've seen happen, like it's the refinance stories that we talked about earlier, and they're taken out of your trust. So that's part of how I caught 65, just doing asset reviews. And when I caught those 65 in 2024, 75%, if not more of them, all said, I'm good. When asked if they've had their estate plan reviewed, no, we're good. I just pulled out my phone, said, do you mind if I look up your deed real quick? Just give me your address. And they weren't good.
Yeah.
They weren't good. They didn't even realize it. But they never heard from their attorney from the time they had done the documents, essentially. So I say once a year, definitely every couple years. But I'm going to check in with my clients. If you're in my database, I'm going to check in with you. And if you haven't, I'm going to put this out there to everybody. If you haven't heard from your estate planner that did your documents in more than a year, feel free to reach out to me. I give complimentary reviews. I'm going to do a quick 4-point check on it, make sure everything's still good. If it's good, I'm going to be the first to tell you everything's good. If it's not, I'm going to guide you. It's a complimentary service we offer. If we need to assist with the funding, we do not charge for that if it's already done. If we need to do amendments to the trust because you want to make changes to what's in the meats and potatoes of the document, there might be a fee for that. But quite often, we don't need to change anything, but we always catch assets, it seems like, that aren't in the trust.
Yeah. And
we're able to coach and help get those assets back in the trust. So once a year is where I'm at with it.
Yeah, it's very common. And again, I said it earlier, it's just so, I see it so much where people just think that because they have a trust, everything's fine.
Right.
and it's not the actual recording of it. If you go to sell a home and we open escrow and the title company sees that, and you say you have a trust, but the person whose name is on title is deceased, that trust, they're not going to acknowledge it. You have to go to probate.
That's correct. And what you got to keep in mind, the recorder's office will record anything. You pay them a fee, they'll record. Doesn't mean it's going to hold up. Doesn't mean that it's going to pass the sniff test with the title company. And an example would be a husband and wife situation. One spouse passes away first. The other spouse gets a trust down the road. We never dealt with that first deceased spouse and doing a proper, getting her off title properly through some affidavits that we would have to do. And then we move it into a trust and it's signed and it passes the recorder and it's recorded. And then they go to sell the property and title's like, well, wait a minute. This wasn't a proper transfer. It wasn't signed properly.
Right.
So we got to make sure that the history of title, not just the most current, but the history is operating properly.
And also that you have a copy of the trust to the people that are going to be in charge of it.
Yeah,
I've been in situations where we had to try to find and locate, and situations where we could not locate copies of the trust.
Yeah.
And it is, especially even if you get rid of one and create a new one, you are required to present copies of those. So
Keep 'em all.
if your children are your trustees or whoever is your trustees, I would make sure that they have a digital copy. That copy of the trust, every single page of it, every amendment is a requirement. And without it, you will have to go to probate.
Yeah. And
Yep.
and we're going to help with that. We're going to give you a USB drive with all the documents on it signed, so you have electronic versions, and we're going to email them to you after we scan them for you once signing's complete. That way you can save them on different computers, or they're on different hard drives. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure you don't lose those documents.
Yes, very important. Rick, how do people get in touch with you if they want to start talking about their estate plan or reviewing an estate plan that they already have?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it simple. My cell phone number is 562-307-4320. Feel free to call me direct on that number. My business line is 702-867-3280. Both numbers come to my cell phone, so use whichever one you want. I carry one phone. I want to be accessible for my clients. You can also go to my website at www.savonestateplanning.com. You can send me a message through there. You can find me on social media at Probate Killer, all platforms. You can send me a direct message there as well.
And I'm Trish Williams. You can reach me at 702-308-2878. And you can always connect with us on social media. Send us listener questions anywhere you want to on realtycheck.vegas. And we're always airing here on Hey Vegas TV network. So check out the network and all the shows available there. And we'll see you guys next show.